Hello and welcome to the first session from Loughborough University London on this, our postgraduate week. We've got lots and lots of sessions planned for you over this week. They're all going to be available live at the scheduled times, and they're also going to be available on our website post the event. Today's session is all about how a master's degree at Loughborough University London can boost your career. I'm really excited. We're going to be joined by our Dean, Professor Tony Edwards. He's going to talk a little bit about Loughborough University London. And I'm also even more excited that we've got one of our fantastic alumni from last year, Shrey Navarans, who's also going to join us later on today. This session, as I said, is being recorded. We're really very excited for the participants who are involved today to be putting questions in to the chat. But before we move on any further, I'm just going to introduce you to Professor Tony Edwards, who's going to take us through the session today.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Tony Edwards. It's my pleasure to be the Dean of Loughborough University London. My subject area is international management, and I'm a professor of that subject area. I joined the university a few years ago from King's. I was looking for a new challenge. I wanted to work in a place which valued interdisciplinarity and employability amongst our students, and I found Loughborough University London to be the perfect match. What I'm going to talk to you about is the ways in which we do that. As I'm my own area, I hope to meet you next year to be able to tell you something about it, is around corporate social innovation and how that occurs within multinational companies.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tony. And also I should introduce myself. I'm Ben Cole, and I head up a thing called Future Space. There is actually a dedicated session this afternoon, so the 2:00 session about careers. So we'll be talking a bit more about that. But today we're going to give you a real insight into the impact that Loughborough University London has on your career prospects. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But I head up Future Space, also head up strategic projects for Loughborough University London. And I guess really in terms of that, so I was involved in helping set up Loughborough University London, and really it was about creating those impactful opportunities for our students and for our staff. That's the thing that really drew me in. As it says on the slide there, I'm always adventuring, looking at entrepreneurial activities. And one of the things that I've done in the last few years is help to set up the Global Disability Innovation Hub, which I'm sure we'll talk about a bit more. But Tony's now going to take us through what we're going to actually be covering today.
Thank you, Ben. And I can confirm to everyone that Ben is indeed always adventuring, always acting entrepreneurially in a way that benefits our students hugely. And I'm very proud of the activities which Ben and colleagues oversee. So today, what we'll be doing is talking to you about how you can maximize your time with us, the range of things that you can engaged in and be aware of in advance so that you're best positioned to have the best possible time and the most productive time when you're with us. And that's to make sure that your year is enjoyable and productive, and that it sets you up for what comes next in the rest of your career and life. And we'll make sure there's time for questions and answers during the session. Loughborough University London has a unique offer. We like to capture this in 4 different ways. One is it's a highly international offer. The student mix, the location is highly internationalized in ways that we'll outline. The second is that you have the chance to operate in an interdisciplinary environment. We think this is tremendously useful for students. The big challenges of today, whether they be policy challenges like sustainability or organizational challenges around technical change, are now dealt with not by people in one discipline, but by people who can operate across disciplinary boundaries. They can understand the way that other people from other disciplines think and address problems, and they can benefit from that. Third, we aim to make your experience with us, an impactful one. That's to say, it impacts on you through the experiences and skills that you generate during the year, and that you are then empowered to impact on the rest of the world. And fourth, We have developed an innovative curriculum, an innovative way of study, which benefits you in a range of ways and also engenders in you the skills and understandings of process of innovation. So our community is an international one. Students come from all over the world. The university set up the London School with a view to increasing its reach across borders, and we do. We recruit students from Asia, Africa, Oceania, Europe, the Americas. We have a highly internationalized student community. It's focused on postgraduate studies, masters and PhDs, and we're able to tailor our offer accordingly to the expectations and requirements of postgraduate students. And we're located in the northeast section of London, in the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park, an area that 10 years ago, almost to the day, was the site of the Olympic Games in 2012. And it is a thriving area now where cultural, educational, business institutions are located, and all sorts of opportunities that open up on our doorstep for our students as a result of that. We have a stunning campus in what was the media centre of the Olympic Games, and we have outstanding facilities, classrooms, study facilities, event spaces within our building. And we also have very strong collaborations on our doorstep with a range of organisations, some just a couple of hundred metres away, like Plexel, which is an innovation centre, and many. BT Sport indeed joins our offices, our classrooms, is the next building to us. We have a range of collaborations with these organisations, from student projects through to many indeed of our students going on to work in such organisations. We take advantage of that in a range of ways. And of course, the wider environment in which the campus is located, the rest of London, is one that opens up all sorts of opportunities. We have one of the most globally diverse cities in the world in London, which we're enormously proud of. It's a truly international location, a business hub for global companies from around the world. There are over 300 languages spoken in London, many site for cultural diversity that can also benefit students in a range of ways. Students have voted it in a variety of recent surveys the best location in the world to study. And when you join us, I'm sure you'll agree that the many opportunities, sporting or culturally, in terms of business, in terms of tech, are manifest and numerous. So there are a range of opportunities from our location. And of course, when you join us, you'll be joining a university with a range of accolades over the last decade or so, of which we're all enormously proud. It's been voted the best university in the UK in various exercises. It's regularly in the top 10 in the main 3 ranking exercises within the UK. It's been, in terms of student satisfaction, the second best university in England. Our own London campus student satisfaction results have exceeded those even of the East Midlands campus, a university which has prided itself on producing a student experience, has created an absolutely outstanding student experience in its new campus in London. So a range of aspects of the university which have received accolades for reasons which I think are very well deserved. In terms of the experience with us, we are located in an area of the Olympic Park called Here East, which is essentially a large innovation space, which has been the hub for a number of organisations in the last 6 or 7 years. We're located then within a wider Olympic Park, which presents sporting opportunities and has won various awards for sustainability in a range of cultural institutions, such as the V&A moving to the park. Our campus is open around the clock for the convenience of our students, and we have access to both a physical library. Students have access to a physical library as well as a very large online library through the rest of the university's online system. We're increasingly making sure that our students are aware of and able to take advantage of the vibrancy of London in terms of the events that are occurring through the city, as well as those which are on our doorstep in an area called Canal Side, which is just a very short walk from our campus. The school is comprised around 7 institutes, and this is where the interdisciplinarity of our experience in our school comes in. So we have institutes in a range of areas where the university has traditionally had some strength in its East Midlands base and has exploited those, developed those further through a London base. Those are in design, in digital technologies, in diplomacy and international governance, in 2 areas of management studies, innovation entrepreneurship and international management, and in media and creative industries, where the university has very strong links in the creative industries in London. And of course, being Loughborough, it wouldn't be a London school without a sport activity, and we have a thriving institute for sport business. You'll meet students across those subject areas. Many of your closest collaborators will be in your institute, but there will be opportunities to mix with, indeed you'll be required to mix with students from other disciplinary areas and take subjects, take modules in other institutes. The opportunity to do that is a really significant one. I was mentioning earlier about the benefits of interdisciplinarity. We feel this is a crucial skill that employers are looking for, and our structure helps you generate those understanding of those processes of how you work across disciplinary boundaries. Most of our students are doing master's programs, a few are doing PhDs, but we're here mainly to talk about the way in which we teach master's students. And the way in which we teach master's students is certainly innovative. It's certainly informed by and created by, designed by academics through their academic expertise, but we've looked to bring London into our classroom through the incorporation of and supplementing the academic expertise through industry expertise. We also have an unusual structure in terms of the way that we teach. Students study one subject intensively in a block, move on to the next one. And this enables students to focus on a particular area in ways that we found very productive indeed. The impactful element of what I spoke about earlier comes through in the way that we have designed our master's programs. In particular, the career development opportunities and activities in which you engage, and the opportunities to engage in wider enterprise activity, are very key features of the curriculum. So one of the things I was very struck by when I first came to Loughborough University London was the way in which these activities take place within the curriculum. The conventional approach amongst most universities is you have the academic curriculum, and then you might have some career development activities in your spare time in the evenings or when you're not being taught. In other words, there's a separation between those 2 things. What we've done is integrate them. So you have these activities integrated into your curriculum. And I think that's an extremely big advantage of the way we have designed our curriculum and enabled students to impact the organisations with which they work during our time here, as well as gain the skills that enable them to exert greater impact when they leave us. And we've created a school which facilitates interdisciplinarity in ways that I've alluded to already. The ability to study across different subject areas is a very significant one. The ability to understand the way that people from other disciplines operate and would address problems is also another significant opportunity. And you can see from the quote the way that our students from former years, and you're going to hear from Shrey later, have appreciated the innovative, impactful and interdisciplinarity that is evident in our curriculum. Now, a key part of the impactful nature of what we do is that we have sought to build in collaboration with external partners into the way that we operate. We've sought to bring in external experience, be that entrepreneurship, be that problem solving, be that group work, into the curriculum. And our main manifestation of that is through the collaborative project, a module that's open to all students, which involves being linked with an external organisation. The external partner sets a challenge or problem that a group of students are then expected to address. We equip the students with the skills of problem solving and teamwork. The students then go about addressing this challenge, producing a report for the external partner and a reflective essay on their own experience. Extremely successful element of our curriculum. We also have a range of placement and internships opportunities for students, increasingly actually through the dissertation now, and we also have a range of visits to sites which are post-pandemic. We're setting up again. I'm very pleased to say there's a number of these envisaged for the next academic year. The collaborative project idea has been taken on a step further through the collaborative dissertation. This is where an individual student is then paired with an external organisation, and the idea of setting a challenge that the student faces is then taken on through the summer months, through the student's dissertation, producing a very in-depth, extensive piece of work, working in collaboration with a partner. So we've sought to involve those from outside academia as a very important element of what we do, supplementing the academic expertise that resides in the school. And we find that what this has led to, very successful graduate recruitment activities. Our students go into work opportunities, many with our partners, many equipped with the sorts of skills that we've been able to provide them with during the year. And we have a very successful employment rate of our students in a wide range of industries and sectors. Our collaborative partners through the collaborative project have taken on a range of different types of organisations. So some of these are working in sport, some of them are working in tech, some of them are working in advertising. There were some who worked in finance, in aspects of the public sector. We have many startups, you name it. We've got partners in those areas. The students have gone on to work, as I mentioned, in many of the organisations with whom we have links, as well as some very well-known companies with locations in London and indeed across the world. We're very proud of these links that we've managed to facilitate for our students. And they've gone into a wide range of job titles. If you have students coming from 7 different subject areas, working in an interdisciplinary environment, the types of job that they can go in are very varied. And increasingly what we're finding is that organisations are saying to us, you provide a curriculum that very few do. You provide a curriculum in which people can generate skills in a particular area and develop an understanding of those who operate in others. That's exactly what we want. We want to take some of your best students. And we're finding organisations increasingly saying, we want to actively recruit your students, and we're facilitating more and more interviews with our partners. And this is something of which we're extremely proud. You can see the quote from the student who appreciated such activities. We have a range of scholarship schemes for our students. So we have scholarship schemes for those who do particularly well at their undergraduate level, 10% reduction in fees for those with a 2-1, 20% for those with a first. We have a particular Dean's Award for Enterprise, which I'm very pleased to be able to make in conjunction with my colleagues. We judge the student with the best idea for how they're going to be entrepreneurial, the best plan in this regard, receives a very strong, very high level of fee reduction, as you can see. For aspiring entrepreneurs, this is an excellent opportunity. We've recently launched a new university strategy called Creating Better Futures Together. And as a part of that, I'm delighted to say that for students from Sub-Saharan Africa, we're able to extend a scholarship scheme. And we also have an Inspiring Success Scholarship. This is for students from the local area, for East Londoners. We are able to offer full scholarship for students, for a select number of students from our local area.
And Tony, the scholarships, there will be scholarship sessions coming up later this week, where we'll give full details about the different scholarships. If you are watching this, catching up through our website, they are all available through our website. So I think I've been checking the chat as you've been taking us through that, Tony. It's been really interesting to hear about the vision behind Loughborough University London as you've gone through things. I'm wondering if I was to ask you a question, I guess the key question I'd want to ask you would be, what do you think is the most special thing about studying at Loughborough University London? What's the thing that really is most special in terms of being in our community?
So I think there's a number, Ben, but you've specifically said one, so I'll take you at your word. I think it's what I was mentioning earlier, that if you look across the way that most master's students in most universities are structured, you have your academic curriculum, and then you have your additional activities, which in some places are numerous, in some places not so much. The really special thing that we have created, and when I say we, you deserve an enormous amount of credit for this, Ben, is that those activities which enhance someone's skills, enhance their entrepreneurialism, enhance their ability to problem solve, enhance their employability, are integrated into the curriculum. And I think the marrying of those two things has been an enormous success story. And I think that's the single biggest special feature of Loughborough University London.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I mean, and that's probably a very key cue point to maybe bring one of our alumni in, Shrey. So we're just jumping you straight in there, Shrey. You know, I know you're busy, you're working, and you're sort of balancing being here today with that. But just Shrey, why don't you just tell us when you studied with us and when you graduated? That would be a starting point, really. Can you just tell us that?
Hi everyone, I'm Shrey, and I studied from sort of September 2020 to September 2021. That was kind of in the middle of pandemic, so was a tricky year to get into doing masters. And I studied sport business and innovation from Loughborough University London.
Fantastic, thank you, Shrey. And you said, I mean, like, it's worth sort of focusing on this a little bit. It was a tricky time to study. You're not joking. I mean, you know, we had lockdowns, we had, a global, we had a pandemic. It was pretty challenging. So I'm guessing Loughborough University London, the sorts of things that we would normally do, bringing, connecting you to companies, bringing you a network of people. Is that something that actually, you still were able to experience?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of tricky, and sort of we were kind of nervous amongst us whether we would get the same opportunities to network or even sort of explore what are the different things that happen. But we had, even though it wasn't possible sort of actually physically being in a room with industry experts, we did have a lot of networking sessions which were online. We had guest lecturers coming in our course, and sort of just reaching out and being able to connect with people who sort of work in the industry. And it was still, I mean, people were quite receptive even if it was all online. So it was still quite smooth, and I don't think we experienced any sort of hiccups in reaching out and meeting people sort of outside coming in to the uni.
Yeah, fantastic. It was, I mean, as you said, it was a really challenging year, and but still there were a number of opportunities offered. And we're actually, what I'm going to do now is we're going to say thank you very much to Tony. I mean, I'm sure it's nice to reconnect you and Shrey, Tony, and to see Shrey there. Actually, I tell you what, before you go, Tony, it's worth Shrey, you should tell us what you're now doing, because obviously I think you came to Loughborough University London, if I'm right, because you wanted to get a role in the sports industry, correct?
Yes.
And what are you doing now? So what are you up to?
So that's an interesting one. Like, I did my undergrad in finance and wanted to switch to sports industry, and that's why I came in to do masters. Currently, I work as the fan engagement officer at Lewes Football Club. For those of you who don't know, Lewes Football Club is based in a small town in Lewes, just an hour away from London. And it's the first and so far the only professional, semi-professional football club to have equal playing budget across their men's and the women's team. So it's kind of a revolutionary one. And it was sort of, so I work here full-time, got the job sort of, got the offer letter on the day the dissertation was due. So it was kind of a good coincidence.
Yes.
And yeah, I've finished one season now, getting ready for the next season.
Yeah, and you've had some pretty special moments this year, haven't you? You and Lewes. I mean, right, as you rightfully say, the club's a really interesting and innovative club, doing some really very, very good work, particularly in terms of boosting the women's game. Obviously, we've got the women's Euros throughout the summer in the UK, and actually we've got other members of our alumni community from last year who are working on that this year. But really, really interestingly, you've had some special moments this year, and I think one of them was maybe the visit to Liverpool. Not a bad side, pretty big side, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing which I would like to really address is the role of Future Space in sort of getting comfortable into my job, because through Future Space it was quite key in meeting people and sort of getting out there, reaching out to people and speaking to them, and that's sort of one of the key elements of my job here. And it's kind of really helped me get a solid base of how things work in the UK and how sort of I can get into the industry. And like you said, Ben, yes, I mean, we had 2 sellouts this season, and one on the men's side, one on the women's side. First time in the club's 70 years, sort of in the last 70 years or something. And last game of the season, the women's team had a sellout, and we beat the champions of the league, Liverpool, at home, which was quite a good feeling. So yeah, it was a sort of personal highlight and also a club highlight.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing, and it's incredible what you've achieved. You're not even a year since graduating from us. It's incredible what you're doing, Shrey. And yeah, we'll get into a bit more, Shrey. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to say goodbye to Tony. Thank you, Tony, very much for your participation today.
Thanks, Ben.
No worries. And what we'll do is we will get on to tell you a bit more about Future Space. So Shrey, I'm going to leave you there, Shrey. And basically, what I always do with these sessions, I should say, not only has Shrey come out of his work, his job today, so you should be working now, Shrey. You know, you've come away from that. But also he's not being paid or anything for this, right? So it's Tony and my job to do these sorts of things, but it's not Shrey's job. So whenever I do anything like this, where I'm kind of talking to prospective students, because there's lots of you out there who I'm guessing, you know, you're here because you want to be basically in Shrey's shoes in about a year's time. So whenever we do any of these things, I always like to make sure that we've got people who've experienced what we offer at Loughborough University London to kind of basically keep us honest. So Shrey, you've got 2 jobs today. One is to tell people a bit more. When I'm sort of talking about stuff here, just tell them a bit more. But also, if there's something that I'm saying where it's like, well, that's not true, that's not how it works, just jump in. Feel free completely to jump in and just kind of stop me in my tracks. You know, so we're going to start with Future Space. So Future Space, I guess it exists very differently in the university, because we really believe if you want to predict the future, if you want to think about, so you're all here like watching this because you're thinking, well, I want to be somewhere next year. I want to kind of, do my master's degree, and then I want to get on. So we really believe that it's not, it's very tricky to predict the future, but it's actually really possible to create your own future. And I think as we move through, the world these days, we're often thinking about how we kind of, become that version of ourselves that we really want to be. And I think for Future Space, that's what our whole program of activity, whether it's in the curriculum or outside of the curriculum, that's what it's really all about. We want to help you connect to your future. And really the way we do that is helping you to kind of set goals. And part of that setting goals can be sort of that sort of dangerous and tricky point of kind of telling people what you want to do and figuring out what you want to do. Because, I mean, Shrey, we talked about this. You arrived at Loughborough University London, and I'm guessing, you wanted to work in the sports industry, but I'm guessing it took a little while for you to find out about Lewis, about what they were doing, about what was happening in terms of this transformation of the women's game, particularly. So, yeah, I mean, I guess there must have been a bit of that kind of like having a conversation about your future, thinking about how you build your experience as you went on.
Yeah, I think it's more about sort of understanding what you would like to do, because there's a lot of things. Like, I mean, not everyone here would be from the sports sort of background, but they're like, even in sports, there's data analysis, there's marketing, there's business side, there's ticketing, there's sort of a wide range of things that could be done. But it was eventually sort of through the sort of lectures, through speaking to professors, to understanding what sort of is a thing in sort of a particular side of it, it kind of narrowed down towards, all right, I want to do something in women's football. And that's how I even got my dissertation in that. So it's sort of, you cannot expect that to be in the first or second month of your course that you figure out, oh, this is what I want to do. It's a gradual process, and
takes time.
Yeah. And it's not even like, I know a couple of people who went into one place, but they realized that they don't want to do it. So it's not about even figuring out completely in that 1 year of your university, because it's just about gradually understanding how things work and how you want to sort of get on. And that is, in that, it's a crucial thing. You interact with people who come in as guest lecturers, or even like networking sessions, because you learn a lot from people who have tried and tested things. And you might just find someone who thinks very similar to you, and you just then get a clearer idea of how to go ahead with those things.
Yeah, thanks, Trey. I mean, I think, as it says on the slide, that we throw lots and lots of new experiences at you. So you arrive with us, and in your first week, and Trey, I'm trying to think if you were part of this. In your first week, we throw you into a hack, which is where we take a big problem, normally owned by a very big company, and we basically say, look, you've got 3 hours to come up with a solution to this challenge. The year that Trey was with us, that organisation was Ticketmaster Sport, and they were looking to, in a pandemic, how do you basically, how do you monetize fan experience? Yes. I remember the winning team was very much talking about women's sport and the opportunities there. So particularly women's football. So that was really, really exciting. So I'm going to flash through some slides. I'm going to give you some information. I should say as well, if you are watching this, if you've just joined the stream, you may want to go back and check the first 10 minutes. That is going to be live on our website, so you're able to do that. But I'm just going to give you some information about the kind of opportunity that is available to you. So Shrey talked about kind of coming into Loughborough University London and basically trying to figure out through trial and error, trying things out, where you might want to end up in terms of your career. And actually this is a central point of our offer. So our offer is all built around 3 things in terms of future space. So the first one is reflection and action. So in terms of reflection and action, what we mean is everyone who's joining us is already somebody who's got a degree. So everyone who's joining us has got some level of experience, some level of insight. They might well have been people who've gone out and worked before they have taken up postgraduate study with us. So we really want to enable you to kind of reflect on the skills you're bringing in and the experience you're bringing in, but also think about the goals that you want to set and the action you need to take to get towards that. So we offer careers one-to-ones, we have mentoring, we have guest lectures, we have alumni panels, and they're all to kind of get you thinking, this is what I'm bringing in, this is now what I want to do, and this is now the route to me getting there. And I suppose in terms of that route to getting there, the other 2 things that we offer, so our offer's built around these 3 things, these 3 pillars, is skills. So alongside what you're learning in your lessons in the curriculum, it's also an opportunity to build up your skills. We offer extra workshops, additional programs and training, things that will really set you apart in terms of your personal and professional development when you're going out to look for job roles. And then the other thing that really helps to set you apart is the experiences we offer. Now, I'm going to talk a bit, and I should say there is a dedicated session on the collaborative project and collaborative dissertation. It is on the schedule. I believe it's tomorrow in terms of if you're watching this live. It's well worth going and checking that out because it's a really central part. And we'll get on to talking to Shrey about his experience of Collaborate. But we also offer hacks. I spoke about the hacks. We have work insight projects, so the opportunity to work for 30 hours whilst you're studying. We also have volunteering opportunities, part-time work opportunities. You can become a student ambassador, as I believe, Shrey, you were a student ambassador, correct? Yeah, yep. Not a bad thing to do. And also we have some amazing graduate route employment opportunities. So what do we actually offer you then? So I mean, like that's how it's structured. What do we actually offer you? So I thought I would just tell you the things we've offered to students in the last year. So I'll just take you through these. And Shrey's here, and I know, Shrey, you took part in a lot of these things the year before. So so we can kind of talk a little bit about them. So a big thing we do in terms of supporting that kind of gaining of career clarity where you want to go is we run dedicated events for our students called our Career Insight events. So this will sound like I'm making a criticism of it. Lots of universities put on careers fairs, and essentially what happens is a bunch of employers turn up and they say, we've got these jobs. Do you want these? You know, that's what we're offering. We've got these things that we're doing. Our Careers Insight events go a little bit deeper than that, in that what they are is they're opportunities to really see how those industries are working, where those industries are going, and what really you could do right now that is not you applying for a job, but is actually you pitching in to suggest an area of expertise that you might be able to bring into that industry. And we had amazing sessions in the last couple of years. More and more, we're bringing our alumni to actually deliver these Careers Insight events. So we have people who are, you know, so as Tony was talking about, Loughborough University London, as a university, I mean, the university is over 100 years old, but the campus in London, this year is our 7th birthday. So we are, you know, 7 years old on the 21st of September, 2022. If you look at where our alumni have ended up, I mean, considering, you know, you could only have been graduated from Loughborough University London, I think it's for like 5.5 years. If you look at where they've ended up, it's absolutely incredible. And these events that we have, mostly they're populated by our alumni. So you would have, I think, Shrey, you would have had a Careers Insight event or two that was online. Is that right? It was online?
Yes, we had it kind of online. And I think some of the people I remember was Harriet Said, who were sort of graduated like 4 years before. So kind of maybe the first or second cohort to go out. And to hear from them and to sort of, and it was, the timing of it was quite good because it was somewhere in May, June where we started doing those events. And that's when technically sort of people start looking out for jobs because your study is done and it's sort of that. But it was good to get that insight where how did they get into, how did they sort of put their foot in the industry and get through that.
Because everyone wants, I mean, you want, you know, there's two parts of it. So one, the Careers Insight event introduces you to people. There are alumni. Often they're very keen to kind of connect with you. So we use a lot of kind of techniques utilizing LinkedIn as a tool for networking. So lots of our alumni are very keen to connect. So not only are they, you know, helping you to build that network that will help you with your career, but also they're giving those insights. So this is how I approached my current employer. This is what I did. I mean, you mentioned Harriet. So Harriet Eastman is now part of our advisory board for the Institute of Sport Business, and talking about kind of the development of sport and women in sport, Shrey. So sadly, with Norwich's relegation from the Premier League, Harriet is now the one and only female representative in the men's game, who's dealing with on-pitch performance analysis. Unfortunately, with Norwich being relegated, that means that you know, she's the only one. But that's certainly something we're very much part of, you know, building and improving the representation, and the Careers Insight events very much have a big impact on that. I mean, this year's event that we just ran, the dates up there in March, and obviously the future events, they will all be available in person. We found that there's quite a few good things that we've brought out of online, and one of them is our Monday mentoring program. I don't know if you were part of this, so I think
I was.
It was our first year when you were studying with us of doing this, and essentially what Monday mentoring is on a Monday, funnily enough, we bring a lot of our alumni and industry partners. Essentially, they come onto an online call and they work with a group of our students on identifying, and then setting goals, personal and professional development goals to support them. And it's a great opportunity to network. It's a great opportunity to kind of build a bit of a network. But Shrey, I don't know how useful you found it and who kind of mentored you. Are they people you're still in touch with?
So I did it twice, but in the first one, I had an alumni who sort of was just guiding us through getting through the course and things, which was quite insightful because they did the sort of course a couple of years ago and it had changed a bit. So it was quite interesting to get that insight. But on the second time around, I had someone from the industry, which was not the sports industry. They were in a different sort of industry. And also there was someone from BT Sport. And so I'm still in touch with them through LinkedIn, but it was quite interesting to see how someone from the industry I wanted to go and someone who was totally not from my industry had sort of really quite good insights about setting goals. And that's what sort of we did in our session. Was week one, we set goals that we wanted to achieve over the 6 weeks. And then every week sort of was just catching up and seeing where we are having troubles with or something. But it's kind of good to look up to someone who's had 10 years of experience working in certain ways and understanding how you can pick and take sort of things you want to implement in your life. So it was really sort of insightful.
Fantastic. Thank you, Shrey. Yeah, I mean, it's been a real success for us, and there's lots of things that we've learned through really investing in our kind of online tools and online learning. And Monday mentoring is certainly something which isn't going away. Another thing that isn't going away is our digital skills program. So lots of employers are now looking for kind of not just people who have a deep knowledge of their subject, but people who can really utilize online tools to really move things forward very quickly. I mean, it's highly unlikely any job that you're going into now won't be doing something around digital. So our program, basically digital skills program, it gives extra workshops to our students, so extra workshops giving them a bit of a digital advantage. It also offers, and really importantly, it offers an opportunity for you to do a 30-hour work insight project. And I should explain, the work insight projects, they're not like work experience, where you might go along to an employer, make a few cups of tea, get to know a few people, and then off you go. And they're not an internship. They're not you spending, a year or however long, 35 hours a week. They're basically the opportunity to take on a real problem or challenge for that organization and essentially try and get it delivered in less than a working week. So it's normally spread out over a couple of weeks, but it's a very, very short period of time, just 30 hours. And it's a huge employability boost for our students. So up there, that's actually Carl's. I don't know if you remember Carl, Shrey. Do you remember Carl? Carl McMullen. I think what's his middle name again? It's a very cool middle name. So that's Carl's project. He looked at working with one of the startups that we work with, basically designing them a prototype product. And that's basically what the program's all about. It's about developing up those skills. And I don't know, Shrey, did you do a digital skills project when you were with us?
Yes. So I worked with sort of a firm called Graphic Maker. So it's run by a guy, and he does sort of interesting graphics into sort of wall paintings and products and stuff. And it had nothing to do with what I was learning or I was remotely connected to. But I looked at sort of search engine optimization and working around building sort of more visibility to their website. And in a way, I mean, at that point, I was like, this is sort of I don't know what I'm doing or why I'm, but I got to learn a lot of things, and which I am using currently at my job. So it sort of was funny at that point. It was a bit tricky, but I remember Dan sort of assured me that everything sort of would be good to learn, and it would be really nice to connect with it. So
yeah, well, it's all about building your experience, and a lot of that is kind of like, so quite often in work you're sort of in this sort of state of ambiguity where basically somebody's given you a task and you're trying to figure out how to deliver on that task, and digital skills really offers up that opportunity to do that. It's worth saying that there is a dedicated session on digital skills later this week. I've noticed that the people are posting comments in the chat, and certainly it's a really good thing to come along to those sessions later in the week. I'll just fly through. So in March we run our venture crawl. So this is the opportunity to look at the entrepreneurial ecosystem on your doorstep. Tony mentioned at the start of the presentation that London as a city is a very entrepreneurial city, full of opportunities to start your own business. And venture crawl is really the opportunity where we take students out. So that's a picture from March's crawl. One of the spaces that we took students to, a place called Workable, where we basically take people out and show them the ecosystem in London. London is so important in terms of being an entrepreneurship hub that we now have 30 universities from across the world who take part in venture crawl, and actually they all take part in our big pitch event that actually happens at Europe's biggest innovation centre, a place called Plexel, which, as Tony was saying, is about 100 meters from our campus. I think last year, Shrey, we did this online, and you saw me and a few other people wandering around all of these places and showing you what was on the doorstep. So yeah, but it's worth saying about Plexel because Plexel also was the host of our collaborative project show. And Shrey, you did collaborative project, did you?
yes, well, we had the show online, so we didn't have the show in person, but yeah, we did the collaborative project.
And your company was who was the company?
So we worked with Sports Interactive, and
right. Okay.
yes. So, and it was about integrating women's football in their game Football Manager. So it was quite interesting, but it was also nice to connect with sort of the lead operative executives from the sort of the company which develops a global game, and that sort of, now to think of it, it just feels like, wow, we did that. We had calls with them.
Yeah. So I mean, I must say, so we had the show last week, this year. So literally last Monday. And Matt Carroll, the COO of Sports Interactive, who's still a Monday mentor for us, was there. And we still have Sports Interactive as one of the companies on the project this year. So yeah, I mean that's a picture from 2019, actually, the photograph there. But we had 25 to 30 of our teams, our actual best teams, all presenting in the space last week. A real opportunity to kind of show off what they've been doing. Collaborative projects, a real opportunity to kind of work in, as Tony was saying, in that kind of interdisciplinary team, work on a real project. And the fact that we have the show to kind of show off what you've done is a really very cool thing. I'm not sure, Shrey, if you did a collaborative dissertation, but as I said, there's a collaborate session tomorrow, but it's just worth knowing some of the numbers, really. So a big thing that we do with collaborative dissertation is your normal dissertation is enhanced by the fact that you can bid to work with a company. So you can do it in two ways. One, you can do it as an internship where you actually will work in the organisation. And the other way is where you can do it as a project. And we had a record number of companies this year taking part in it. And I've got to say, I mean, we mentioned Harriet. Trey and I were talking about Harriet. Harriet's dissertation was really, really important to her. It was a collaborative dissertation, and it actually enabled her to not only get her first job when she left university, when she left us. It also helped to get a second, because essentially any dissertation is a unique piece of research, basically making you know more about a thing than anyone else. And essentially, if you do that properly and in a really good way, thinking about what's going on in your industry, whatever that industry is, you will find you've got a real competitive advantage when you go out and look for work. So I'm not sure, Shrey, how was the dissertation for you? I think you did a desk-based dissertation. Is that right?
So I didn't do a collaborative one because my title was Income Generation in Women's Football. And so it sort of wasn't quite sort of easy to get into one collaboration. But like you mentioned, Ben, it was quite interesting as I did my undergrad in finance. So I was quite curious about the income side of things. And in one of our assignments, I took up that topic for a small assignment, and I realized that there's no such research done. So that sort of was the clicking point, was like, there's no one that has looked into it, so might as well do that. And it helped me get that edge in my job interview. So that was quite because I was sort of the one of the rare ones who was looking into that area.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely. I mean, every year we offer these dissertation opportunities, but you've done exactly the right thing. The thing that we really want people to do with their research is find a thing they're really passionate about and want to be the expert on, want to know more than anyone else. And what you'll find is, particularly because Loughborough's curriculum, the experience at Loughborough is so applied, when you do go out and talk to employers, when you frame those things back to employers, they're very keen to get that insight and to understand what you've been able to do. We should get on to kind of post-study jobs. We've talked about, Shrey, where you're working now. So I think you were part of our what it would have been a virtual assessment centre last year. This year, it's actually happening on Thursday. We have our mock assessment centre. So I'll explain it a little bit. We work with a set of employers who are working exclusively to recruit our graduates. And when I say our graduates, I mean whether they're international, UK, wherever they're from in the world, they are looking to recruit our graduates. They are working very closely with us to make that possible. So one of the employers is there, For Global, who are a sport development agency. And essentially how it works is we work with those employers throughout the year. So a good example this year, Shrey, would be a little tiny company called Tech Mahindra. I'm being a bit facetious there. They're one of the world's biggest companies, Forbes top 50. And Tech Mahindra are working with us. Essentially, they've been sending members of their team in. So their C-suite executives have been in talking to our students, literally like we are now, Shrey. They literally, they're in front of our students, talking about their investments in Formula E and other things that they're doing. Web 3.0, metaverse, all of those things. And then also people who've joined their graduate schemes have also been in kind of sharing, this is, what it's like working here. This is how I got my first, job in the space. And essentially the mock assessment centre that's happening on Thursday, we designed that so it's as much like an assessment centre. So how UK employers recruit new graduates, we design it as closely as we can to that. But a big difference is you get feedback through the process. And I think that was something you took part in last year, Shrey. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. So we had, like you said, quite a few companies who had come in, and there was like one or two representatives from each one who sort of were sitting on a panel, and we were put into groups, had to do presentations, and each group in a breakout room had a couple of members just overseeing how things are working, and then we were given feedback by them about how we worked with the group synergy and sort of what do employers look for. So it was quite good to build on, and then to take that feedback ahead. And then we also were given sort of sent across the jobs which were put on by those companies. So it was good to then see where we fit in, because we were given quite a detailed assessment about what were our strengths and what were things which we could improve on.
Yeah. Yeah, so everything we do is a developmental exercise, but it's based on what's really happening in the real world to get you set up. And just to say, just in terms of this, we've now got there's 6 employers working with us on Thursday. Some really small, rapidly scaling companies, some much bigger like Tech Mahindra. But actually, this year we've shared, and this figure, I actually got this figure last month, so it's a bit out of date. We've shared over 120 opportunities through our internal. So this is just internal, our virtual learning environment. And we are constantly, I mean, you will probably hear this throughout sessions this week. UK employers really, really want Loughborough graduates. Loughborough is seen as being a very, very good place to get employees from. People really, really want to work with us in terms of our programs. And probably, there will be sessions on this, and you're welcome to look at the UK Gov website. But for international students, the law has changed in the UK in terms of post-study work visas. So it's well worth looking at that to see how you can, if you're thinking of staying in the UK after studying, how you can do that. I've noticed there's a couple of questions online, but we've only actually got, Shrey, I can't believe this, Shrey. We've got 5 minutes left.
Yep.
Can you believe that? I know. It's so exciting, isn't it? It's so exciting. So, I mean, you're going to see this picture quite a bit, actually. I'm going to say this. You're going to see this picture quite a bit over the next week, because we think this picture of these students, so these are a set of our students at the Collaborative Project show back in 2018. And in fact, some of them aren't students. So the one on the furthest left is Albina. Albina was actually one of our graduates from the year before, 2017. And Albina came along because she was actually now working for one of the companies that was actually part of the Collaborative Project. And I think it shows this thing that Tony was talking about, international. So, there are all of the different continents of the world represented in that photo. Interdisciplinary, all of our institutes, and this wasn't set up, this was just a picture taken of our student body. All of our institutes are actually represented in that picture. So you've got Christina at the front in the red dress, so she was diplomacy and international governance. You got Tambi next to her, who is Institute for Design Innovation. So all of our institutes are represented there. So that kind of interdisciplinary is there. And I think impactful, in front of you there, you've got people who've worked for the UN, who've completed their PhD, people who've gone off and got a studentship at other universities to do their PhD, people who started companies, people who've worked for places like Deliveroo and various other, sort of big companies. It's just a really cool picture for what's possible. And I guess kind of like what we want to really end this session with, and maybe Shrey, this is a good opportunity to bring you back in. What do you wish you had known about the Loughborough University London experience before you started? There's all these people online now, and they're thinking that could be me in a couple of years. That could be me next year, a Collaborative Project show with all my pals. Enjoying myself. What do you wish you'd kind of known?
It was sort of a couple of months late, but I wish I had sort of known the power of networking. It's quite sort of important that from the beginning. I mean, I was at the start a bit of an introvert, but Ben can vouch that that's not the case right now. But it was sort of
your confidence built, didn't it, Shrey?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So it's about sort of getting out there and meeting people, because you never know which sort of who would be quite interesting to catch up and get. So, for example, I started networking a couple of months into my course, and so I networked with my course mate called Lauren. Now she's a very good friend, but then it was through her that I got the job advert from Lewis. So it was kind of just random. Like I wouldn't have expected a year from now on I'll get a job advert through her. So it's you never know which connection or which person might be beneficial for you, or you might be beneficial for them. So it's just about getting out there and making sure that you put yourself into everything that's happening, because at times it might feel like it's just getting too busy, or it's just too many things happening with digital skills, let's say, collaborative projects and everything coming at once. But the amount of experience you get while maybe making mistakes or just understanding yourself, you don't get that when you go out and get a job. So this 1 year would be the 12 months where you can just take a massive growth on your own self. So just every day make the most out of it.
Brilliant. I mean, I think that's a real way to end. I mean, so your network starts with those people who you're going to be studying with. You'll find they're incredibly useful to you. I mean, I know that group in front, they're all still in touch with each other, all still talking to each other. It's a very, very nice thing. We've had a couple of questions online. I'll try and deal with them very quickly. If you want to connect to the Future Space team, well, you've met me now. My name's down there. I can't actually quite look. It's there. Look, my name's there. You can look me up on LinkedIn. I'll be very happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. Shrey, I don't know if that's the case for you as well. You'd be happy to connect with anyone.
I'm happy.
So if you've got questions about studying with us, want to check anything out, then we're very happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. In terms of people wanting to meet with the Future Space team, the email address up there, london@loughborough.ac.uk. If you just put it to the attention of the Future Space team, you will get very happy to talk to people who are thinking about coming to study with us. There was a question there about MA Media and Creative Industries, career opportunities for the media and creative industries. Well, what I can say in terms of media and creative industries is the Olympic Park is home to lots and lots of media and creative industries organisations, and certainly there are lots and lots of opportunities to kind of connect with those companies and organisations. You probably saw, the names that we put up, Google, various other companies like that. There's very much connections and contacts in those spaces, and there is actually a dedicated session on media and creative industry. So have a look at that. Somebody's asked about whether to do a PhD or to set it up as an entrepreneurial opportunity. Really, either way, there's opportunities within Loughborough University London to do that. And I should say, a lot of our doctoral candidates in the last few weeks, we had a workshop from Loughborough University London staff looking at how you turn your PhD into a consultancy. So we're always looking at how that can be developed. We are a little bit over time. My timekeeping's been poor, Shrey, and I said I'd let you go at 12. It's 2 minutes past 12 here on the live session. If anyone does want any more information or wants to check back on something or catch the 10 minutes they missed at the start, this session will be hosted live on our website. You can find that www.loughborough.ac.uk. Have a look for that. I'm sure you'll be able to connect with us again. But I've got to say thank you to Tony for his bit. Thank you very much at the start. And also thank you, Shrey. Continue being an absolutely awesome legend, member of our alumni community. And thank you all for those who are listening and watching this. Please do connect with us. And if you've got any questions about Future Space, any questions about your careers, very happy to hear those. So, we will end for now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.